Just talk, Les Brown, for a minute here. I mean, I love the fact that you are a thinker. One of my mentors have been Reverend Ike, and we had the privilege of, I had the privilege of him just being in my life. And then I understand that you also is a student of Reverend Johnny Coleman.
Absolutely, yeah. Dr. Johnny Coleman, I've called a Johnny's baby.
Johnny's baby.
Right, right. Out of Chicago, yes.
Tell me a little bit about this great woman of God, if you will.
She was a person who had very high standards. She was an icon. She was a revolutionary. She was before her time. She built a non-traditional church in Chicago, which became the largest church of its kind. She had really the first mega church.
Yeah.
And so, an electrifying speaker. When she spoke, she could electrify an audience. But the other thing is, she was very versatile. She was a very good dancer, and she loved to dance.
Really?
Yes, she loved to dance, and she also played basketball. Yes. And so, what was uncanny about her was that she was a perpetual student. She was always learning. She would come to seminars and workshops. She would take copious notes. And so I studied under her. I read about her in Ebony magazine in 1980. I was a state legislator in Columbus, Ohio. So during the summer, I went and I studied under her because I wanted to know, how did she do this? And I was just fascinated with her oratorical skills, and she's a great teacher. And that's how I got a chance to meet Reverend Ike, because he came to the church, and they were very good friends. So we flew to New York to spend time with him. And I remember coming to his apartment, and which was just fabulous and very high standards. I'll never forget, we were having lunch, and without looking to his left, he would have lunch, and when he would take a sip of his water, and he would put the glass out here, and it was like perfect timing when the young man would come and get it out of his hand. And he had the fax machine was just out. He had it first.
Yeah.
And so we had a chance to see the first fax machine. He was always ahead on technology. This man was ahead of his time. And it was always exciting being with these two icons who worked together, because hearing their thoughts and their visions of how to empower people, make a difference in people's lives, just fascinated me, just being in their company.
Now, you've been out, and I mean, this is, it's good hearing that, and she has built a great, she opened up a lot of doors, I would also say, for women speakers as well.
Oh, yes, because there were none before Johnny Coleman. Johnny Coleman was it, and she was very gutsy, very courageous. I remember her breaking ground on land that she did not own in Chicago, 22 acres. And then somebody anonymously gave her even more property thereafter because of that exhibit of faith.
Really?
Yes.
She literally, as I forget who is the metaphysician that said, but I know it is Father Divine. She then literally demonstrated God.
Yes, absolutely, yes. She had city officials and everybody there, a big ceremony, and broke ground, did not own the land at all. She claimed that land. And somebody gave her some, said, we're going to give you this. After they read about it, said she didn't own the land. Somebody gave her 22 acres of land.
Wow.
Just a courageous woman. Just did things that people during that particular time it just was unthinkable. But she had that kind of courage and determination. But I also admired the fact that she never, ever wanted to be second best to anything. She always held herself to a high standard. She expected the best out of everybody that she trained, and she expected the best out of her congregants. She wanted them to know, you deserve to be rich. And that sense of deserving this, first ministries were very critical of her, but now they're all now see the value of encouraging people to believe in themselves and that you deserve to create wealth for yourself. You can't do anything without money in this world.
Wow. Sarita Sewell in the chat room just says, I am from Chicago. I joined her church when she was on 83rd Street.
Yes.
She also has a grade school on the church compound in Chicago on 119th Street. Thank you, Sarita. Okay, let's get into some other things. You've been out on the circuit. I've watched you from a child coming up in my late teens, early 20s, watched you on new
Public television.
on public television. Watched you on Channel 5. I never forget Fox. I believe it was the Fox Network where you had like a talk show and talk
Right.
shows.
It was on ABC in New York.
ABC
Yes.
in New York. And fascinated about your work, fascinated about you being positive. It was something different that we were hearing and seeing. Where do you see the world going now in what you're seeing with technology and everything? Because, I mean, you know, we are forced to not only change, but to be innovative. And I believe the secret to becoming wealthy is finding out where everybody's going and try to get there first.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, we always had to be ahead of technology. When I was a kid, we used to work in a bowling alley. People knocked the pins down, and we would jump down and straighten the pins up. Somebody created an electronic tray, that put us out of business. When I was a kid, elevator boy, hi, what floor, please? Now you get on the elevator, you don't need anybody to do it. So we've always had to be ahead of technology. And so what has compounded it is that there's cheap labor abroad. You can get a PhD or an MBA in India or the Philippines or Nigeria, but you can't get someone to work for that here. So what the computer has done, it eliminates geography. And so people have to literally reinvent themselves constantly. And so the name of the game today is you have to be born again. You've got to die to who you are today to give birth to who you must become in order to accommodate the new changes. You have got to be ahead of the game technologically, and you've got to have good relationships, people that you can learn from. Sidney Poitier wrote a book called The Measure of a Man. I love an illustration he gives. He said, when you go for a walk with someone, something happens without being spoken. Either you adjust to their pace or they adjust to your pace. Today, you have to have strategic relationships with people that you can learn from, that you can grow from. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said, if you're the smartest one in your group, you need to get a new group.
Yeah, you know, and I always say, if you're the guru in your group, you're with the wrong group. You know, and would you say that was a secret of Napoleon Hill?
Yes, yes, I think so.
Ford?
And Ford, yes, because they knew that you couldn't do it by yourselves. Major corporations that I speak for now, there's 72% of them are striking strategic partnerships. You cannot make it by yourself. You have to have relationships with people, being in a community of people. And literally, if you look at Zoe Ministries and the 300 prophets, you look at the people that are listening, you look at the prophecies that are given, you look at the events that you're having people to upgrade their knowledge, understanding the value of lifelong learning. You never find out how much you know till you find out how little you know. You're feeling like Mother Teresa. She said, just when I got a handle on life, the handle broke. Okay. Yeah. So what you're doing is creating a community of people who are looking ahead, who understand the value of not only technology, but relationships, OQP, only quality people that can help you to advance your life. That's the key, OQP.
I'm writing this down. Only quality people.
Yeah, this is no time to be around negative people. Studies indicate that with negative people in your life, they can drive your blood pressure up, that negative people can make you sick, literally sick. There's a new term in psychiatry called relational illness.
Relational illness.
Illness. There are people who can make you sick. I have a friend named Vi Clark. I have her permission to use her name. She was married in a very toxic relationship, and every year for 8 years she had to have some kind of surgery. Once she got divorced, she never had to have another surgery. They talk about obesity in the American culture, that there's no question that a majority of women are obese because of poor nutritional habits, but even more obese, not only because of what they eat, but because of what's eating them.
Woo! Les Brown. This is amazing. And see, and you know, our teachers have already taught this. The body has never been sick. The only thing that is sick is the mind.
Yes, thought-driven diseases.
Thought-driven
diseases.
I just have to take notes on that. I want everyone to type in the chat room right now, thought-driven diseases. No,
Yes.
this is powerful because the world, it hasn't caught up to this yet.
No.
But those that are
Absolutely not.
spiritual individuals understood this, that the body has never been sick. And that's one of the things Reverend Ike would always tell me. He said, son, he said, the body has never been sick. The only thing that's been sick is the mind. I said, Reverend. He says, and he would have me say to myself, I am not my body.
Yes.
I am not my body. So in reality, we begin to realize that there's something greater in us. Greater is he that is in me